When I first got to know Casey well, um, you know, I had let's see, that was late '60s. I was in my 40s, and I had very strong feelings for her. I really got to love her right away, and I also had, a romantic and physical attraction to her. But I could feel, she let me know right away that she didn't have that kind of feeling for me, or at least she obviously had a very strong feeling for me, but it was not a physical, sexual attraction. And I, I, I did. I could feel her backing off, and I didn't want to ruin the relationship. And I learned later as I got to know her that she had had a couple of very, very long, well, not terribly long lasting. In both cases, they were several years, but they were very deep, committed relationships with with men. And in both cases, the men had left her, and she had been quite devastated by them. And she was not about to have a relationship with a woman. So as time went by, I cooled off, but we remained very deep, committed friends for life, for the rest of her life. And I think most of our friends assumed that we were a couple, a lesbian couple, and we let them assume it because we didn't think there was anything wrong with the idea. It just didn't happen to be true. But it's something that I feel, it just is not was not part of Casey's makeup. It was too bad from my point of view. But I've been happy. Our connection was much too important to me to let it go on that account. We did live together and work together and do everything together. We went camping and took trips, and I guess we, in a way, we were like an older married couple who got along very well, each, giving a lot of consideration to the other's special differences and quirks and all of that. We also built a house in Maine on land that I had bought earlier. My family came from Maine, and my grandparents had built a summer cottage there, and I had grown up there as a child visiting my grandparents' summers for quite a few years. And the first time Casey and I went back there, and we stayed in the grandparents' cottage, which my uncle then owned, and Casey loved it. And when land began to come on the market, we had bought more and more. I mean, I had bought more before I knew Casey, with the thought that I might someday build up there. But when Casey and I were living and working together, we decided it was time to have a Maine camp. We could move our business every summer, so we built a camp up there together. I call it a camp because my grandparents always spoke about going down to camp, it's a Mainer's way of saying cottage. Most people now say cottage, because when Massachusetts began coming up to Maine for summer vacations, Massachusetts people, they had cottages, and they were a cut above. The old Mainers had camps. And so Casey and I built a camp, and every summer we took our work up there. We just carried our typewriters and then our computers, and we did our writing and working from up there. And it was great. We had a boat, little putt-putt, 6 horsepower. which is the best thing to have around the mouth of a raging river like the Kennebec. So we had a lot of fun. It was a wonderful relationship. It really was. We would have been. It would have continued if Casey hadn't had. She had a breathing problem from childhood, and it was diagnosed in her childhood as, oh gosh, I can't remember what they called it. I don't think they use the term anymore, but she was very active in sports as a kid, and she did all the outdoor things that young people do. But she knew she had a breathing problem from the time she was on a bicycle trip of several days, youth hosteling. She was youth hosteling around New England with a group from college, and they were on bicycles. And she remembers starting up a long hill, and she realized she wasn't going to make it, and everybody else was passing her, bicycling as hard as they could, and she had to drop out. She had to ask someone to send the truck. They had to come and pick her up in the truck, and the bike would go back to the campus, I guess. And it was very sad. She actually lived a pretty normal life until her early 70s, when she started having real episodes of not being able to breathe and having to have emergency oxygen and inhalers and things with her all the time. And then it really got worse toward 95 and 96, and she was hospitalized a good part of late 96, and then she pretty well knew that she wasn't going to make it much longer, so she planned everything so well. She talked to her lawyer, nice guy here in town, Alan Birmingham. He helped her set up her trust, and she had inherited money a few years before, when her mother died. Not a few years, that was in the 70s. And that was the first time she had enough money really to do some of the things she wanted to do. And she set up a trust with 7 heirs, and I am a recipient of a charitable remainder trust, I think it's called, to maintain this house. She left the life use of this house to me, and I am maintaining it. And on my death, it goes to the other 7 heirs, which are all charitable institutions. The main one being the largest portion of the trust goes to Smith College, which she was totally devoted to all her life. She went to Smith, and I'm glad. I'm trying to keep the house in good shape for Smith.